Good afternoon. Paris, Stamford. Paris? Stamford. I think I'm going to go to Stamford.
Welcome to another episode of Toby Stupid Vlog.
This is our remarkable bedroom. So look how high the bed is. It's a 4-poster bed and it's like 4 foot off the ground.
It's quite soft as well.
It's fun little space though. And then if you look out here, we got Stamford and the church. So there's our hotel over there. We're going for a little wander around, slowly making our way to the other side of the river, which is where my parents are staying in a hotel. Wandering the streets, looking at some of the old houses and some of the new houses. Actually, some of the new houses have been done really nicely. Just on my way over the river, past Pizza Express. Traditional Pizza Express. And there's a swan nest I can see there under the eaves. And here's the lovely little river crossing. As you can see him there sitting. While wandering around town, we've eaten in our hotel slightly too much. We've eaten a lot too much, and we're having to go for a walk to cool down and walk it off. It's very dark, but you might just be able to see the torrential rain. It's coming down late at night. It's a huge downpour. It's like the second one as well. And the road is just a river. I mean, it's just a river. I don't know if you can see that, but it's remarkable. Good morning. We've gone round to John's house, waiting for other dahlias to turn up. And what a nice view of the garden. It's a garden, and then it's a field, and then it's a forest. So that's John's pond that he dug out, which is quite a amazing feat of wildlife now, with carp and dragonflies and damselflies and it's a duck's nest and all sorts. Now this wood, you can see here, this all the way down on this side, he's planted all of these. So this is his forest that he planted many years ago, in fact, as you can see, because it's quite mature now. And we're just off to visit something that's very hard to explain, but I'll show you when we get there. So you can see down here on the left is his old car, which yeah, so he left the car here when he was planting the trees, and then now of course the trees are too big, so the car can never come out. So the car is in this wood forevermore. St John the Baptist Church. This is where Isaac Newton was actually baptised. He grew up around the corner. So that's why, and this is where we've been, in a pub, having a bit of lunch. Alex and Anna, the boys, have arrived. They're somewhere in the graveyard there, scooting, obviously, that's what we need to do, is scooting. And we're just about to head off to Corby, see Bridget.
We do like the American circus around here, and we took him and we didn't think he was going to last, so we got Dad on standby to be like an interview after an hour. But he loved it, yeah. I was sat on the end of the row so he couldn't get past me.
Don't tell him before Christmas. And said, how do you want to go about it? Do you want to go and tell them, or do you want us to write a letter? So they think they've got a letter.
So, we're on Nigel's farm. Albert is just driving a JCB, pretty standard. It's more than big enough.
Hi, Albert!
of grain in there. You can hear cows.
When your dad was
Yeah.
10 years ago?
Yeah. That one's a bit dusty, that one is. There's more in that one, that's the gamekeeper's toy, so we've got 3 wheels. 3 wheels on my way.
The cows are staring at us. It's pretty normal. Sheepdogs. And then a lot of cows.
Do you know, I can remember your chickens. Really? In there.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh God. How old would they be then?
He's following the chickens, is he?
Don't fall
No, don't fall through.
through. Don't fall through the barriers.
You might get eaten.
A bit shy, aren't they? Boisterous. They're not impressed.
No.
So no, we have silage, we don't watch.
Yeah.
No, not interested.
Ooh.
Oh, yes, it is squelchy here.
It's disappearing into a squelch.
She's getting quite excited with chickens
Be very careful so the mummy doesn't. Oh, the baby's. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Mrs. Chicken. Sorry, Mrs. Chicken.
10 minutes or so.
Something with
We're down at the farm, and on a day like today, it's really hard to imagine why you'd want to live anywhere else. Sheep in the field, people mowing the lawn, sun's out, cows are out, and yeah, it's just really nice. As you can see, the boys have been to see the cows and in with the corn, what have you. And everyone else is just relaxing, and I'm just snapping away with my camera.
The tractors to go that way and do that tractor.
Oh, there, then you'll have a tractor crash, like that. That's not what you want, is it?
I think go there.
You want to go back up the field, you need to find yourself a farmer to drive you around. Shall I see if I can find you a farmer?
You need to turn the key.
Yes, you do.
And
after a short delay on the train to glamorous King's Cross, where we're now going to go over. Race for life, about halfway point. There's people coming and going in all directions. There's actually 4 rows of people coming down, going back up the middle, first lot, and then coming down this side and going back up the far side. There are people in the front. This is my view today. I am at the Summit, which is the British Hospitality Association's conference, doing some moderation whilst they're all having their talks in here. This is the Grand Connaught Rooms here near Holborn, and this is my desk. Evening. That was quite a strange day, spending all day in a conference which I really don't care too much about, just approving social media and what have you. But I got a lot of vlog updating done, so that was very positive. There's two really rather noticeable things that I haven't talked about. The first one is the terrorism in Manchester and London, which aside from this statement, I'm not going to say anything more because I don't think that any further attention is required, because I don't think anyone should dignify it with any further attention. And the second is that there's a general election on Thursday, a general election that should never have been called, by a leader who was trying to power grab and a leader of the opposition who at the time was unbelievably weak. Now, that's not to say that it's a fait accompli. It probably is, in so much as the most likely outcome statistically is a Conservative majority. The size of that majority is very hard to predict. I don't think any of the polling has been very helpful. I don't think they've got constituency level polls right, and that will be the make or break of this. What I will say is what I'd like to see. I would like to see a complete change of direction when it comes to this Brexit shambles, which has been proved to be terribly handled up to this point, and it looks to only get worse, especially if we maintain the same Prime Minister, who clearly has no idea about negotiating whatsoever and is going to get eaten alive. So that's my hope. I genuinely don't know what will happen, as nobody does, even the people that tell you. This seems to me the hardest to predict general election for a very long time. So there we go. And by the time you watch this, the result will be apparent. So congratulations / commiserations. This is a much better way of spending a morning. Yesterday was so nasty. It was just horizontal rain and really strong wind, and in fact it's brought down a few small branches and a lot of leaves. The wind hasn't thoroughly subsided today, as you can see, but the sun's come out and it's a hell of a lot nicer. So I thought this is a good day to walk to Hammersmith and then get on the train and go to work. So that's what is happening now. So if you remember last week, I talked about briefly how exercise in the morning is really good for your brain. There's quite a lot of research to back that up, but the one that springs to mind is actually listed on the Buffer blog. Buffer being the social media management software. If you go to bufferapp.com and find the blog page, there's an article there about exercise in the morning and what it does to your brain activity, which is quite interesting. So I figured I need it today, because today I need to do some decision making, following on again from the conversation last week about the business offer I've been made. I'm still not sure I have completely come to a conclusion about it, but today I have to present my thoughts. So hopefully this walk will assist. So I've got too many thoughts about politics going around my head, which is unhelpful, because by the time you see this, the election will be over. An election, I dare say, that will be basically pointless and will leave us back where we started. I kind of hope I'm wrong, at least one way, but I can't imagine an election result that doesn't result in a Conservative majority, despite the fact that the government we currently have, which we've had for about 8 months, has done very little, despite the fact that the previous Prime Minister resigned almost a year ago. In that time, we've had a leadership election, one emergency budget that's barely implemented, a 6-month process just to trigger Article 50, and lots of talk and very little action. What we're most likely going to have next is a government that spends 2 years attempting to negotiate an exit from the EU that can't be negotiated in 2 years, whilst everything around them fails. So much attention is going to be diverted into this negotiation, things like schools and hospitals and what have you, simply going to sit on the back burner. In the meantime, they're going to change the voting system to make it easier for the party in power to be elected. They're going to tear up the Human Rights Act, which will deprive most people of the rights they have and will solve nothing when it comes to terrorism. I'm sure we will pass new terrorism legislation, despite the fact I think we've passed 8 different pieces of terror legislation in the last 15 years. None of this will achieve anything, but it all looks very good on the front page of the Daily Mail. So as I say, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm probably not in this case. I'm usually only wrong when I predict an election's going to go my way. In this case, it ain't. So this is a problem of our own making. We made this mess, and unfortunately we, the people, as in the people aged under 50 especially, are going to be responsible for cleaning up one of the largest financial messes this country's ever witnessed. So good luck with that, everybody. It's strange, there's no amount of terrorism that would ever make me leave this country. The only thing that would make me leave this country is the way the people respond to terrorism, and more specifically the way our government responds to the people. But despite all that, it is a beautiful morning, and it's still going to be a beautiful weekend regardless of what happens on Thursday. It's just going to take a little more effort to savour it. So I suggest you do that. And hopefully these political campaigns are so poisonous now that by the weekend we can get back to some semblance of just getting along with one another a little bit better, treating each other with a bit more respect, and generally appreciating what we have a bit more. That's Duke's Meadow that I'm just passing, so I'm making reasonable time. It's probably because I'm walking a bit too fast. Anyway, what am I up to for the remainder of this week? Well, today I'm at USP, and tomorrow I am working from home making Radio 2 featurette bits, and Friday I'm back at USP because it is the excuse me, it is the Canadian Grand Prix, and I'll be there over the weekend as well, although that's technically next vlog. And Saturday is Walter's birthday, so there will be some birthday shenanigans going on then as well. And then it calms down for a little bit, and then we've got lots of more birthday things. My brother's birthday, and my dad's birthday present that he's finally cashing in, and this tree is blocking my path, so that's gone well. So this bit of the Thames path I haven't done in a very long time. I can't actually remember when it was I did it because it's so long ago. I've walked on the other side, and I've walked as far as this point and turned off to go to Turnham Green, because I don't do this walk as much as I'd like anymore. I don't know when I last came down this side. It's very pretty, all the gardens are on the other side of the road to the houses, which is slightly curious, but it means they're all riverside gardens and they're all nicely done. But it does mean again I'm walking slightly too fast and I'll be in Hammersmith before I know it. Well, I'm mostly here being Hammersmith. The thing I noticed as I got close to Hammersmith and got near to the working breweries is that smell that used to have around Mortlake when all the brewery was in operation. That smell of the barley. It's really nice, and I didn't realise I missed it until I smelt it. Here you can see a bit of the old storm damage from yesterday. Yeah, it's a shame so many of those breweries are closing, but not a lot you can do really. The way pub companies are regulated is slightly poor. Anyway, I'm going to get on a train and go to work, and you go do whatever you need to do. Good morning. Happy polling day. I'm off to do exactly that before coming back to do some audio work. I don't think I have anything further to say on this election. I don't imagine it's going to go overly well for the country as a whole. But I'm hoping, like all the elections in recent years, I'm wrong. Just for a bit of context about that, I think I was broadly right in 2010 in terms of who would win, but completely wrong on how the seat breakdown would go. I was completely wrong on 2015. I was completely wrong on the referendum. I was completely wrong on the American presidential election. And I didn't actually think that the Lib Dems would pick up this seat in the by-election in December. So out of the last 4, I've been wrong 4 times. So let's be wrong again. That'd be nice. All done. I wonder if I'm the only one that, after I put my little cross in the box, I just double check it's the right box. I don't know, it's massive paranoia, but I just think, I just need to just double check that it's put in the right box. Yep, good, we're good, it can go in the booth now. It is worth saying just once more, and every single time that we have an election, that our voting system is terrible. First past the post means that you can have a candidate elected who does not have the support of even the majority of the people who voted. That is idiotic and needs change, but will not get it under the current government, or more than likely probably won't even get it under the next government, regardless of the colour of that government. And that is very sad, because it means that in many cases the candidate that most people would coalesce around doesn't win, because they're forced to vote tribally, and then you can have someone winning with, say, well, in some cases 35% of the vote, which is just nonsense. So yeah, I'd rather have single transferable vote. I'd rather have any proportional voting system. The current system is inadequate, and more than that, it means there's a real democratic deficit where people are disenfranchised from voting, and where the legitimacy of the winning party is very, very hard to actually justify. To say, well, we won the most seats, despite the fact we only got 40% of the vote, seems like a bit of a stretch. It's quite possible that 60% of people, other people who voted, would all rather have somebody else other than you, but weren't given the opportunity to cast their preferences. That is why I support Progressive Alliance, which is a tactical voting organisation. So that's the only way to deal with the current system. That's why I'm a member of the Electoral Reform Society, and it is why I will always vote for electoral reform, because there simply isn't a worse system than first past the post. If you're curious as to a bit more information, try going onto YouTube and typing CGP Grey electoral systems, and he's got some interesting videos about it. So there we are, another general election. I won't make much comment on the result. I'm sure there's 1,000 pundits who've spent the last 2 weeks boring you with all that kind of nonsense, except to say that I've gone from having a very smart, hard-working MP back to having a man who is a fucking idiot. And I mean that in the most literal sense. Anyway, we have a hung parliament. What does that actually mean? Well, it means we're in a lot of trouble. We are about to start a negotiation to leave the single largest trading bloc on earth. We never really had much of a plan in the first place, but we did have a government that could claim legitimacy based on a working majority. Now we have 2 parties, neither of who can claim any legitimacy to govern, who are ideologically miles apart, and we're trying to negotiate the most complex set of trade deals in the entire history of our country. I feel despair. That's the best way of putting it. We're not capable of doing this. We don't have smart enough people in government. We certainly don't have smart enough leaders. In fact, if anything, we have some of the most ego-driven idiots that I've ever seen running large political parties. Doesn't matter which side of the divide you are. We've got 2 of the worst leaders on either side of the aisle this country's ever seen. You might not like that because I'm insulting the person you voted for, but it's tough, because if either one of them was any good, any good at all, this election was theirs for the taking. And this isn't because they're both brilliant, this is because people voted against who they hated, not for whom they loved. So I don't think things are going to be good. I don't think the economy is going to be in a very good state for quite a large number of years. Sorry to dent any enthusiasm you may have, but reality is going to bite very shortly, and it's going to be nothing like you'd hoped. But the sun's come out, so at least we'll have somewhere nice to be miserable. I'm going, it's a very strange work day. I'm going to Vauxhall to pick up iPads, and then I'm going to USP to do Formula 1 things this afternoon and this evening, and then I'm coming home. I don't need the iPads till Monday. I'm back in USP on Sunday. It's all very complicated, and it'll probably help take my mind off the absurdity that's going on outside. Yes, I'm going to be so tired of talking about this in about an hour's time. I know it already, but there we go. Take a deep breath, realise that the sun still rises and sets, and the one thing you can say about politicians is the one thing they all have in common is an alarming failure to deliver on anything. I say that as a positive thing, you understand, it's not a negative thing. In this context it's positive because all of their ideas are so completely batshit crazy that their failure to deliver them is for everyone's benefit. However, their failure to deliver a good Brexit, that unfortunately will be to everyone's detriment. Anyway, all that nonsense and ranting aside, that is the end of another week. Quite an eventful one in the history of this now failed country, but there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Despite there being no real tangible government, I will still be here next week, so I hope you will join me. Easiest way to do that is to subscribe by clicking the red button below, and I hope to see you then.